Okay. Well, good morning. It's good to be back. We had coming off a bye week. I think, like I said, last week was well needed. I think our guys had a weekend to get recharged. Met with our training staff this morning, and everybody's good to go for practice, so that's a positive. We should have everybody available today. Huge challenge again this week. Another top 10 team coming in. So it's a big game. Looking forward to it on Thursday night. Hopefully we'll have a big crowd, great atmosphere, and be ready to go. So with that, throw it open for some questions.
Having just kind of come off center stage in your previous game, if you will, similar situation, you think you guys can kind of benefit from that or not?
Well, I don't know that you pay too much attention to that. I think you just get ready to play the next game. And this is, since I've been here, this game has been a big game every year. I mean, the division race is this game's been a big part of it. And it's again this year. If we lose, we're out of the race, so to speak. So it's a big game for us. Well, I think historically, they've kind of built their team on defense and special teams, and this year they're giving up about 15.5 points a game. Their special teams have been, while adequate and not as they have been in the past, but offensively they've got a great tailback in David Wilson. I mean, he's a big-time player. Quarterback is huge, 6'6". They got two good receivers. I think they're just a solid football team. Every year they do a good job, and they're pretty consistent and have a good all-around team.
Just having a little extra time to prepare, just helping, like you say, injury recovery and getting a weekend off. Does that change anything, you think?
I think it's more – it helps you more physically probably than mentally. Just to kind of get over some bumps and bruises and some of those kind of things. It's you really pick up – most people pick up an extra day of preparation. That's about what you pick up. We took Monday off, and then we practiced, early Friday morning, so they took Saturday off. So we'll pick up a day. I think they did it the other way. They took Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then practiced through the weekend. So they probably picked up a day, too. I don't think it's as big a deal as people make it to be.
And what's up with the jacket?
I had a breakfast this morning I had to speak at.
When you come off a win like you had against Clemson, I know you want to rest guys. Do you almost wish that you had the next Saturday to get back out there and try to keep that momentum going?
It's kind of a double-edged sword. I don't think that it's you never really know till you play, but I really think it came at a good time for us. I mean, if we'd have had to play again Saturday, I doubt we would have had Jay Finch back. We may not have had Will Jackson back. We have a bunch of guys that were banged up and beat up, and now they should be good to go for this game. So it was probably a blessing in disguise that we had an off week. You just never know. Sometimes you want to keep going. Sometimes it's good to stop. And I think this one came at a good time for us.
Why have they been so good on special teams over the years, Virginia Tech?
I think they've always had good return guys. And, they've done a nice job blocking kicks. And, really, I guess the last couple of years, and I think once you get that reputation, it just kind of follows you. There's probably been other teams in our league that have blocked more kicks than them, really, the last couple of years. But, last year they beat us on a special teams play. The Wilson kid returned a kickoff, and they've always had good guys, and they do a good job coaching it.
I don't know what your relationship is with Frank, but if he's not the last of the dying breed of that long at one school, is he maybe one of the last that we'll see really pull us off in these numbers?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. In today's time, I doubt he would have still been there with the start he's had. But what he's been able to accomplish is remarkable. I mean, when you think about it, I think I saw where it's been 19 straight years of 8 or more wins or something like that. I mean, that's pretty good. That's kind of Hall of Fame numbers there.
Any idea staying in one place for this long?
Yeah, and I think that probably he's went to school there. He's comfortable there. That's home. And I'm sure he's had opportunities. And there's a point in time, I guess, in your life where you just decide, hey, this is, we're not moving anymore. And that's kind of what he did.
You mentioned Finch and Jackson. How confident do you feel? I mean, will today determine things, or do you feel like they'll be able to go?
I feel like they'll be ready to go. I mean, now they could get hurt today, but I mean, if we had to play today, then they'd play.
Baseball, they always say your momentum is as good as your next day starting pitcher, and maybe in football you say it's your quarterback's confidence as good as your next snap and your next play. But what do you think perhaps the Clemson game did, if anything, for Tevin as you move on down the line here through the season?
I don't know. I think it remains to be seen. Hopefully that he got some confidence back. I thought he did some things really well. You don't know till you play. I mean, we'll see. I don't know that Tevin's ever really lacked for confidence. But anytime you play well, it's got to be a plus.
Paul, when you see, as I'm sure you have, that an opponent has moved its defensive personnel around like Virginia Tech apparently is, I guess they're going lighter and quicker at several spots in the front seven. Is that going to change anything you do in preparation, or would it?
No.
Not?
I don't know where they're moving guys. I mean, that's, it could be hurt. They've got different guys. I'm sure they're trying to get their best athletes on the field like everybody else does. They've done that before. I mean, they've moved guys around before when we've played them. They've had guys out of the secondary. Last year, times the 17 who's playing corner lined up at Mike linebacker. I mean, so they've done that before. I think Bud does a good job of utilizing what he has and moving guys around, and I'm sure he has a reason for it. But, no, it doesn't change our preparation. I mean, for us, it really doesn't matter who's in there at Mike linebacker. We're going to do the same thing or try to.
Is that more of a situation where you'll just adjust to that as you see what they're doing during the game?
Yeah, they've tweaked each year we've played them. They've changed something up, and once we start the game, we'll try to make adjustments and play. There's only so many ways you can line up, so it's once they start, we'll try to figure out what they're doing. They do a good job sometimes disguising it.
Where has Quayshawn made strides to get him into the base package as much as he is?
Well, I think just experience. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman, so he hadn't played a lot. And I think the more he played when he started, got a lot of time on nickel and dime. And when he got out on the field, he did fairly well. And I think he got some confidence. So, he's a good athlete. He runs around. And I think he kind of earned his playing time.
At this point, would you call him a starting inside linebacker in the base, or is that?
Yeah, he's the starting inside linebacker, yeah.
I need a level there, I think. How much has beating the teams that beat you guys last year, how much has that been a driver, you think, for your team in its motivation for this season?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it until you said it. It's always, I guess it's always a factor. You always want to beat somebody who's beat you, but we really hadn't talked a lot about it.
With Finch coming back from an injury, do you play him as long as he can go and see how it goes, or do you give Nick some reps at center?
Well, we'll see how it goes, I think. I don't know, to when you get out there, we'll just kind of see how it goes and see how it goes in practice the next couple of days. But and then we'll have a plan. If he can play, he was the starter for a reason. So if he's good to go, then we'll get what he's got. If not, I think Nick came in and played really hard, and we feel okay about putting him in if we need to.
I guess, does it change the offensive line at all, having Finch out there and having the experience he's had playing the last 2 years? And is there a difference in terms of how they play with him versus Nick? I
That's
guess
how-
confidence-wise, maybe.
You mean how everybody else plays?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think there's a difference in how they play, but I don't think it affects anybody else on the offensive line. They all have to do their jobs individually, so it doesn't matter if it's Jay or Nick. They're all trying to do the same thing.
Because of his particular skill set, being his quickness and speed, can you call different things or do different things with him than you might otherwise?
Possibly, but we haven't done a whole lot of that. I mean, we didn't try to do anything differently the last game with Nick that we wouldn't have done with Jay. So we didn't change anything for them.
You've mentioned more than once, I think, the atmosphere for the Clemson game.
Mm-hmm.
And none of those kids in the stands made any tackles, at least until the game was over and they tried to get on the field. But obviously you're hoping for the same kind of thing. Do you hear your players talking about what it meant to them and what it might mean Thursday?
Well, I don't know that they've talked a lot about it, but clearly, I mean, when you run out on the field and the stadium's packed and the crowd's into it, you can kind of feel the atmosphere. And, when things started going well and the fans got behind them, and I think you feed off that. So, whether they've talked about it a lot, they know it's there, and they know that it's that's fun to play. It's fun to be out there when that's going on.
Well, you talked about how it was a good time for the players to have off. I know you were working through this with
Right.
your staff, but is there a good time for a staff?
Yeah, and I think that's important too. I mean, I told those guys that after Friday, we went out and recruited on Friday, but after recruiting was over Friday night, they needed to stay out of here Saturday and Sunday and spend some time with their families and get recharged themselves because, it's 7 days a week, and you come in early and go home late, and they need to recharge themselves. So we didn't do anything this weekend from a staff standpoint.
Give yourself a chance to watch football Saturday.
I did. I watched a bunch of games, and it's fun when you don't care who wins. You just kind of watch and look and see all the different games. In fact, I watched the Army Air Force game. That was fun for me to watch.
Watch the one later on that.
I did. It was a heck of a game, heck of a defensive game. One of the coaches this morning, I think it was Coach Owens, said the red zone was from the 40. If they could get to the 40, it was. But both teams are really talented defensively.
Paul, when you play in these Thursday night games and you're the only game in town, so to speak, there's not a lot of other football being played around the country and so forth, national television audience and all that. Does that impact recruiting in a greater fashion than a run-of-the-mill, for lack of another phrase, Saturday game?
It probably helps. We've had one of those Thursday games every year since I've been here. Probably helps on that end of it. It also hurts on attendance for the recruits because it's during the week, and it's hard for guys to get here to the games. So especially if they're still playing in the playoffs, they got to practice on Thursday. By the time they get through practice and fight the traffic and get here, and then they're late and they got to play on Friday night, so their coaches aren't real excited about them coming on, to a Thursday night game that don't get over till 11:30 or midnight. So it hurts on attendance a little bit, but it's got to help you with, everybody being able to see you play.
What's the biggest challenge when you face a guy like Logan Thomas, who is the physical specimen that he is?
Well, I think that you've got to try to get him off his spot where he throws and contain him and not let him hurt you running the ball because he's a good athlete and he can pull it down and run it. So the rush lanes are important, and you hope that he don't get hot because when he gets hot, he goes in streaks. And, he got hot in the Miami game, and he was unbelievable. So you got to change some things up and not let him get comfortable and hope that you can do some things that maybe he hadn't seen.